Good afternoon, good evening, and good night. This is another scene for the Living World of Darkness, Camarilla and Anarch venue. So tonight, the Sheriff Ghost has asked for an audience with the city's Anarchs. Mr. Bartoš, being the kind gentleman that he is, has offered to host at his casting offices. So he's called his fellow Anarchs to him, and now they are awaiting Ghost's arrival. Just to set the scene, the place is much like it was previously when the other Anarchs arrived for a party. However, this time there is nobody around. It is literally just Kindred in here. When you step out of the elevator and into the casting offices, which encompass the whole floor, it is like stepping out of a time machine from the modern day into the 1920s. It's very Art Deco, very expensive, historic tastes that Mr. Bartoš has. And then in the center of the room, there are three sofas around an ornate coffee table, the middle one of which Mr. Bartoš will be sat on, looking directly at the elevator.
Not really wanting to keep the Anarchs waiting too long. Ghost will arrive on time. The elevator doors open, and you see Ghost walk out. Douglas, she hasn't seen her before. She's dressed in all black. She has like a black suit on, with the shirt and trousers and black boots with a red tie, and a leather waistcoat. She isn't particularly tall or imposing, but she has an air about her that is quite intimidating. It might be the tattoos on her hands or just her general sort of demeanour. She looks kind of biker-esque, short, neatly shaved and styled back blonde hair. She walks towards the office and looks in at the assembled group inside.
Good evening, Sheriff. I'm glad you could join us at my offices. What brings you to us on this occasion?
Just making my rounds, Mr. Bartoš, she says, smiling. She seems to appreciate the decor.
Well, it's always a pleasure to host one of the city's officials, shall we say. He gives a smirk. Mr. Bartoš today isn't actually wearing a suit. He's just wearing some jeans, some leather loafers, and a shirt that's got the top two buttons uncusped. He looks like he may have been looking towards a more relaxing evening rather than a formal evening. So he looks a little out of place to the previous times that he's been seen.
For anyone with a eye for expensive things, Ghost's wedding ring is probably at least 24 karat white gold, and it has diamonds in it. It's probably one of the most expensive wedding rings you could buy. It's a little bit over the top, in fact. It doesn't really suit her seemingly more sort of gothic and plain attire. She smiles to Mr. Bartoš and then looks to the other two who are sat there.
Hotaru, for her part, is wearing a very prim little suit, long-sleeved, skirt long enough to go to her knees, and is standing at attention at Mr. Hildebrandt's shoulder, not looking particularly to at anyone, because that's rude, but she's definitely just kind of looking everywhere except at those assembled.
Ghost sort of flicks a interested glance sort of up and down Hatara's appearance, in a similar fashion she did in the Elysium, and then looks to the man who she stands next to.
Douglas, for the most part, will be just lounging in one of the chairs. He'll be dressed in just like simple torn up jeans and a faded black shirt with some like old like metal band logo on it. His shoes will be old, probably mismatched. He has like dirty blonde hair just hanging over his shoulders, and he'll just be kind of staring at you, nonchalant.
Ghost holds her hand towards this man. She's you see sort of as she stretches her arm out, there are like tattoos on her knuckles and sort of on her forearm that sort of peek out under the shirt.
He'll take her hand with his. He'll try to smile, but his fangs kind of stick out, so he'll do his best to sort of look non-threatening. And he'll introduce himself. How you doing? My name's Douglas.
Good to meet you, my friend. She says in her most sort of charming voice. Smiles. I'm Ghost. I'm the sheriff of New York.
Pleasure's all mine.
I must compliment you on your very well behaved. She goes to say ghoul, but she wonders whether or not she knows that Anarchs are kind of treat their ghouls a bit differently to the camera, so she pauses and thinks, sort of indicating with her 2 forefingers to Taru, young lady.
Associate Sheriff. You can use the words associate. I'm sure we won't mind.
I carried my my time in the Anarchs, my experience with ghouls over to my time in the Camarilla, but not all my compatriots are fans of equal rights and all that jazz. She sort of shrugs her shoulders.
Who is this day and age? Who is?
Anyway.
Oh, that's right. The Anarchs are. He smirks and goes general direction.
Ghost gives Bartoš a grin that sort of says, "I don't agree." It's kind of like, I could argue with you about that, but now is really not the time to have a political debate. She just sort of grins at him toothily. Anyway, sort of half business, half pleasure. I wanted to come and meet you and also inform you of a situation that we have heading our way and gauge your feelings on it.
Situation heading our way. Has the ivory tower gotten into a spot of bother, Sheriff?
She gives him a kind of ghost of a smirk, I suppose. You can see that the expression on her face changes slightly, like it's not funny. No. Well, yes and no. The Anarchs and the Camarilla in Washington DC have succumbed in their battle against the Sabbat, and the city is fallen.
As soon as you say the word Sabbat, you don't need any roll to notice Mr. Bartosz's face drop. It goes from laid back, calm, relaxed to deadpan serious in a split second. You mean the Sabbat are mere miles away from us?
Well, Washington DC is a considerable distance from New York, but and the threat of the Sabbat in the city has never truly died down. You know, the fuckers are everywhere. But yeah, I think that we might be their next target.
Do you have any intel in this regard?
We know that the prince was masquerading as a Camarilla member when he was a Sabbat infiltrator, and it was him that was responsible for quite a lot of the deaths. I think he took out some of. You see, Ghost sort of tense her jaw slightly. He took out our former prince and a couple of other notable Camarilla elders.
Seems traitors are everywhere these days. You notice his eyes do not drift from Ghosts through this entire conversation.
Mm. Yeah.
Well, I only speak for myself, but I will quite happily do anything and everything to make sure that this Sabbat don't take New York. I didn't move here for it to be lost immediately to a bunch of zealots.
As a result of shit hitting the fan in Washington, and we have refugees coming to New York, most of which are following an Anarch woman, so maybe you can call them Anarchs, I'm not sure. I guess it'll be down to you guys to figure out and decide. I'm not too sure where they're going to land yet, but we will be having, and they're all fairly new to this. So
They're young.
Dumb and full of stupid ideas. As most of us were when we were first created.
Well, I will welcome them to the city in open arms, and if they dare raise their hand against me, I will. And he pauses for a second, and that smirk starts to come back to his face again. And he says, run away and hide behind someone like Douglas, who is a gangrel and has powers that can fight.
Totaro will briefly entertain a wry little smirk.
Well, I don't know how Mole will feel about this. Maybe you could pass it on to him. I'm sure he'll be delightfully indignant as usual.
Mole is a delightful gentleman. I'm sure he'll be greatly appreciative of new Anarchs to our cause.
I wouldn't be too surprised if he knew already. He knows a lot of things.
This is very true. For all we know, he could have been just waiting for you to mention it so that he could say, I told you so.
Probably. He probably knows that fucking prince's shoe size is a Nosferatu, right?
That
Nosferatu know
kindred
everything.
is... I just can't wait to learn more of him. Mr. Bartosh smiles. There's just not enough hours in the night to listen to stories these days. But I have an eternity, so... well, an eternity...
It's kind of...
Sabbat withstanding.
It's kind of my unofficial duty to let people know about issues of security, that jazz. I could just not tell you
Sheriff.
kind of thing. I'm not obligated to tell the Anarchs about this kind of thing, but you know, I do want your guys' help. So
Well, I am very greatly appreciative, Sheriff. I mean, you've gone out of your way to tell us this information. I only speak for myself again because we understand individuality in the Anarchs, but I am grateful for this information. In response to this information, I will give you, as you are in charge of the security of this city, a little bit of information which I don't share often, but I'm okay sharing in amongst my kin here and yourself as the sheriff. Back in Paris, where I came from, one of the reasons I left is because the Sabbat were trying to press gang me into recruitment. I have, of course, nothing but loathing for the Sabbat, and I do not wish to join them, but they don't tend to take no for an answer. So there is a slight possibility that if they're coming to the city, they may turn up on my doorstep and attempt once more to press gang me. I figure it is only honourable that I let you know this.
few nods. I've had the same experience with the Anarchs, so I know how you feel. Well, Sire was quite a notable man of his time. I think some of the Anarch movement feel that the bloodline went a little bit too waste. She shrugs.
Some people do. The good thing about the Anarchs is we all have our own views.
Unfortunately, we do seem to have traitors in our midst, and someone has breached the masquerade in this city. Someone has revealed a message talking about our society to the Kine, and so I'm not pointing any fingers. It could very easily be a Cameron member as well as it could be an Anarch member. She sort of shrugs. I did not recognise the voice anyway. But
so, when was this received?
I heard about it a few days back.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not very good at putting on voices, so I can promise you it was not me.
The point is, there's numerous threats to our existence that are happening.
Aren't there
right
always? We've got walking rugs of death to the left of us, and ghosts to the right of us. And here we are, stuck in the middle with you. Dave seems quite amused.
So this is the place. Emily just says as she looks at the people as she just pokes her head in the offices. I was told that you, yeah. And she just gets in and sits down. And nods to Ghost as she does.
Ah, Emily, what a pleasure.
Ghost looks very surprised to see Emily. She just raises her eyebrows at her as she sits down but doesn't say anything.
These are it's one of my places of work. And if you're ever in the market for an escort, male or female, well, we tend to provide. But now I'm advertising. Anyway, back to the business at hand, Sheriff. Have you got anything else for us?
Not right now. Just be aware that there are investigations pending and stuff going on. So I hope you're all being good boys and girls.
Mr. Bartosh will smirk. Of course.
Oh, that's all I have to say formally. She looks at Emily, wondering if Emily has anything to say.
Oh, yeah, it's something I wanted to discuss with you. And she looks at Ghost. It's not urgent. I don't know. I thought I'd find you. It's always good to, get out and see new people.
She sort of looks between Emily and Douglas. So it seems to be sort of looking at the differences and the similarities between the two. Like, just out of it, just seems of interest. So you see her sort of darting her eyes from one to the other, and she just smiles. Oh.
Well, this is all very wonderful and just a little bit awkward, but I'm sure we have lots of business to attend to, so unless anybody else has anything they wish to ask me in the process of investigations, we should probably get about our business.
Yeah, probably. Come on then, Emily. We can talk on the way out.
All right. Emily just nods and gets up. As the two of them are alone, Emily will just, the prince.
Well, actually, Joyce will wait and just politely say goodbye to everyone before she gets in the elevator.
Oh yeah,
Emily.
Emily will totally also do that.
She waits until they get into the elevator and closes the door before she looks to see what Emily has to say.
Right. Remember, like, everyone had their their territories removed.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of asking for mine back, but do you have any, I don't know, advice or anything on how to do that and how not to do that?
Don't ask for it back.
Ask for it back, or what?
Yeah.
Don't.
Don't ask for it back. Earn it back.
Oh. All right.
Do something. Like any Ventru prince or esteemed prince of the city likes to be shown what you can do.
All right. Also, there's another thing. We can't. Some of us can't. Eat stuff. But how do you do it normally with people who don't know things? I mean, how do you?
I'm going to make a perception empathy roll, Emily.
Okay.
Because
I'll roll my 2 or 3
she's being
dice.
a bit weird. My dice. Well, I'm slow today. I have 2 successes. Well, depending if it's normal difficulty.
Ha ha! Defender wins! Ha ha ha! Sorry. Sorry about
You see,
that.
Ghost sort of like quirks an eyebrow. She looks at you, but she can't read
Yeah.
anything from your face.
Remember, we talked. Well. Okay. Remember how I'm not too good with people. I'm trying to get out and talk to strangers. Well, not in that way, but, just talk up and just have conversations with people I don't know. But a lot of conversations, that happens over food, so it's only going to be a matter of time before that's going to be a problem. So, I mean, is there a way, like...
Ghost exits the elevator, walks out onto the street. She just seems to be smiling, like she's going to give Emily an answer, but like she seems to be thinking about it. And she walks out to her motorcycle, just sort of, she smiles at Emily like she's expecting Emily to follow her.
Emily just looks at her for a second. So we're going somewhere? Okay. Emily gets up on the bike.
There is a way of doing it. Perhaps we could, let's go for something to eat and I'll show you.
Alright. Emily just nods and, yeah, gets sadly on the bike and have to be almost touched and groped by Ghost, but
Groped?
I
don't grope you. You could hold on to the back if you really want.
alright. Fair enough. That didn't happen last time. But okay.
Ghost groping everyone apparently.
Yeah, but
yeah,
she'll go on.
Ghost will kickstart the bike and the sound of the revving engine can be heard before the two take off into the distance.
So meanwhile, upstairs, Mr. Bartosh will turn to Douglas, and once the elevator doors close, and he gives it a couple of seconds for the elevator to move down, because he knows how perceptive Kindred can be sometimes, he will turn to Douglas and say, "Do you think she thinks that one of us is the traitor?"
I was kind of wondering if she was up here trying to start some shit. Like, I'm sorry if your house ain't clean, but don't come pointing at ours.
I like to think my house is entirely clean.
Yeah, I mean,
Man.
just because we're anarchs don't mean we're dumbasses fucking around with Sabat or fucking telling everybody what we are.
Do you know what would be funny though? If we happened to stumble upon who it was
I mean,
before the camis did. We did their job for them. I'm not going to, by the way, before we walk into this, I'm not doing the camis job for them. I'm just putting out that it would be absolutely hilarious if we did do the job for them. Of course, in the day-to-day running, if we did stumble across this information, it would be quite advantageous to probably pass it on to someone like Mold.
Oh, I'm sure it would. But if the Sabat are running around, I don't know how much snooping I want to be doing.
This is true. I don't want to be doing any snooping. The last time, their interview process is not a great experience.
I don't. I'm not going to try to find out.
No, don't. Just don't. There's a reason I left Paris to come here. Taro, you can relax now. They're gone.
And she'll cast a fairly open little smirk his way, take a glance to the door, and then finally click those few steps to join her Dometer on the couch. And take a far more relaxed position, just kind of sprawled back.
So I started to You know the other evening when we were talking about Mr. Splain?
Oh, yes.
My fun and games are already happening. I'm
Really?
excited to be a part of it. Yeah. Somebody wrote an article recently. Turns out they weren't a big fan of frames. Apparently it's a very unhygienic place to be. It's disgusting. It's not worth the time. They would rather go to Queens. I couldn't have written a better article myself. Ah, the joys.
And the ghoul will lift her hand very slightly to wait for a pause, and then ask simply, in regards to these Sabat and these people who are coming here, do we have any way of knowing how many Sabat will be among them? I can't imagine that they will all be innocent refugees.
Part of me wants to say that's not our problem. However,
It is
based
definitely
on-
our problem.
however, based on previous experience, if Sabat come into this city and pretend to be Anarchs and then kick up shit, we are the ones that will suffer.
She nods as if that was precisely her point. Is there
So-
any determining factors, any form of identification, anything I can learn?
The joy of being an
to pick them
Anarch is that there isn't.
out?
Really. I mean, we could give them an exam on our history, but I very much doubt if they're young, like the sheriff says, they're going to know anything anyway. What's the word that people use for that? They're not going to know shit. I think, I mean, we formed a little gang here to do Anarch work. I say we keep the doors on this gang closed for the meantime, and we just bide our time, and we keep an eye on the new guys. People tend to slip up. I mean, technically, we're new guys, so we're just new guys keeping an eye on other new guys. That's all it is. Being cautious. Pretty sure they'll understand. I mean, they've just come from a war zone. They can't expect us to be all cuddly and, hey, come join our cause. Well, that has put a shitter on my evening. I might have to go out hunting after this.
Can't you
No,
call
I'll
in
just have one of my
delivery?
girls. Yeah, I'm going to call in delivery. I'm too stressed to go outside. Plus, if you go out those doors, who knows? There might be a Sabat out there waiting to stake me and dump me in a lake.
Or some Camarilla flunky who wants to try to blame us for their mistake.
This is true. I'll try and... Well, I won't try. I will stay on good terms with the sheriff so that we can share information. In the
Of
meantime, we'll
course.
keep the doors on this gang closed. We'll enjoy our freedoms and hope that these new individuals don't screw that up. Because I'm pretty sure this prince would love the chance to get rid of our domain and start a war. I'm not too keen on a war myself. Although it would be some kind of war within a war within a war. But now we're getting really philosophical. Anyway, I have business to attend to.
Of course.
So I bid the pair of you adieu, and I am going to go and cry tears of blood into my hands. No, I'm going to go and do some work. With that, Mr. Bartosh will stand up and bow his head, wish Douglas and Hadara a good night, and then he'll head to his office because he knows now that they know the way out. So,
Yes.
there's the elevator leave thing.
Absolutely.
And I think we will call it a scene there. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for playing. Good night.